everybody. This is Frogman, and welcome back to Compact Claustrophobia. Last episode, we spent a little bit of time screwing around, getting us a couple of things, namely a bucket of lava and a way to make a decent amount of cobblestone at this point. And we're going to continue on with that little process later on. Probably episode or two from now, we're going to be building some more stuff around that general idea, so I'm not really concerned about it right now. What I wanted to do that last episode, and we didn't get to, was build a power generation system that was at least going to be able to keep up with what we were going to be doing for a while. Because in order to be able to make lava with this thing, and at any kind of a reasonable pace, we need to be able to pretty much upgrade it almost to max tier, and still it's going to be pretty slow. So this thing's going to take a lot of power to do any kind of melting of cobblestone or stone or anything like that. So we're not really in the massive need for power right now, but what we are going to be needing power for here fairly soon, or at least a reasonable amount of power, is when we get over, I believe, into this section over here, possibly. I know one of these is coming up here to where we're going to be needing, I think it's right there, arc furnace. Arc furnace takes a lot of power to be able to process anything, and we're going to be able to kind of somewhat store a little bit of power, but if we want to be able to use it at all for any amount of time, we need to be able to just generate some power. Crusher is going to be one of our next things. I'm going to kind of hang off on this general line over here for a little bit because there's just some back end work that we can now accomplish because we have a reasonable amount of space. Yes, it's a 5x5. They're not all that big, but there's still plenty of room to do things to the point I can actually even remove these guys and put them somewhere else because we don't need them anymore. So let's just find a place and get rid of it. So this little thing, this one's going to be going away. This is our current little power generation system that I showed you guys last week, where we've got one of the little thermoelectric arrays, as well as a decay generator in this room here that has got some of our machines that we need to be able to just kind of keep around and out of our way. So a crusher is going to be able to fit in one of these compact machines, or at least this size. So that's why we had to get to this size in order to be able to get the next size. A 9x9, I believe, is going to be able to hold the arc furnace. So let's start working on something that I have been fighting around with and playing around with and screwing around with and testing for at least the last week and a half. Since we did the last recording, I said I was going to be recording right directly after that, and then I did some experimentation and found out that there's actually a really silly, easy way to make a lot of power using something that is given to us early on in the game, and it is very repeatable and very decent, or at least I should say it's all right. It's not the greatest power generation system I've ever made, but it's going to require some fun stuff. So we're already in cube number 1. This cube right here, we're going to explain this very quickly. I just needed a bit of water, and I didn't want to sit here and listen to the stinking aqueous accumulators. So they're all sitting in a little puddle of water, and they have two outputs up here. We have a north and a down. Let's get out of here, and we can actually just look at the projection of it, so you can just kind of see. I did that mainly because I really just don't like listening to those things. They make a lot of noise, and when you don't need to have a lot of noise around in the area, it kind of just is, one of those. So that is also sitting in a particular spot because of what we're going to be putting in this room and this room. So this room, we're going to go ahead and do another one of these. There's actually 3 of these 5x5s that we're going to be utilizing to do this little project. And yes, I know I kind of bitched about how that other system was very not great for 8, for 80 arithmetic for the amount of resources it's going to take. When we're done with this, we should be making a reasonable amount of power. However, it's going to require at least 3 of these and a whole lot of machines. And it's actually going to produce, or at least in my testing, going to produce the resultant fuel, should I say, for the power at a slight, and I mean just ever so slight, increase. So we should always be gaining just a little bit more, or eventually some of the machines and the systems to do it are going to back stuff. So enough talking. In here we have another machine, which we already have a couple of little tunnels ready to go, and I've set up the tunnels just because it's easier for me to remember where things go. In this box is going to be all of the things that we're going to use to do the job. So I'm not even going to explain it yet. We're just going to grab some of the parts and get ourselves together. I do need to make sure I grab the correct ones of these and the correct ones of these. How did I? Oh yeah, that's right. We had to get those and some of this. We need our sand, cactus, and I think I'm actually short on no, we're just perfectly right, and some of these. Now, we're going to be bouncing in and out of this system for right now, so just keep your eyes on that idea. But here's what we're going to do. We're going to go in here, and like I showed you guys last episode, if you're very careful, you can fit 15 of these garden cloches in one of these 5x5s and be able to actually get it to work. So what I'm going to do is hopefully be able to build these reasonably quickly so that we don't get too stuck on something. The biggest problem that I want to say about this little system here is that you're going to lose access to one side. God dang it, give me that back. You're going to lose access to, man, I'm doing a great job. Lose access to one side of the cube when you place down the middle. So when you're doing this, you want to make sure when you're building farming cubes or something like this that you either omit like say the end one right here, so I'm not going to use this one, or if I need that throughput, you need to make sure that you build the one side completely first before you go anywhere. And I'm already screwing up because I need some ducting. There we go. All right, now we should be good to go. So we're already in the wrong spot. That's fine. I am going to build this side first, all the way across. This is going to be our power input plug right there, and I already screwed it up. Dang it. I should be able to reach it regardless, but I believe I want that thing to be facing up. Perfect. Okay, and then I'm going to go ahead and run some power so that these guys get power. And I'm using hardened flux ducts because I have tons and tons of in-bar, which is pretty simple, easy to make because we have tons and tons of nickel. So there's no reason not to use the expensive stuff. I'm going to use a signalum-plated flux duct right here, signalum-plated item duct, right in the center so that I can reach both sides. And again, signalum is not impossible to make, especially now that we have the, what do you want to call it? Now that we have the ability to be able to melt redstone. So that's not a massive hard thing to make. So we're going to do something about like this. That's the only one of those I'm going to need. And then I'm going to go ahead and do an output right here for this line. And I don't need you. Thank you. And we're going to pick one of these lines. Can I get down in here, please? We're going to have to do this a little bit differently. We're going to pick the line that we can't really have too much of a problem. So 1, 2, and 3. I'm going to face those this direction. All right, now I've worked myself. Again, it's kind of one of those you have to think about how you're going to do things. You need to be able to work yourself into a corner before you move over and get into the second system. So we're going to go ahead and put the cactuses in these, and that should be easier just to do that, and that, and that, and that, and that, and that. All right, so we worked ourselves into a corner for this section right there. I can put my item duct on that thing so we can get to that point. I can pick my fluid ducts back up and put 2 of these facing this way. I'm doing that mainly just so that they can kind of somewhat separate themselves and be able to work. So I want to set my entry point right about there so that I can get to that tunnel and to that tunnel and still be able to see that tunnel, because we're going to kind of lose access very quickly. So bang, bang, up, down, all the way into these guys. And again, we're going to do the same thing. So doot, 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 and doot. That should be everything on that wall. And I think we have 2 right here that we need to do. All right, cool. Now that's this cube more or less finished. What's going to happen is when these guys get powered up and get some water, they'll start growing cactus. Cactus is going to then automatically be outputted out through the system of pipes and ducts up to the ceiling, where it is going to go out the west side compact machine wall. Now that one we may have to change when we go to the next one. So let's get out of this machine. This machine is going to be the complex machine. This is going to be the one that has a lot of the functionality going on, because we're going to be running this system off of a rather fun and easily repeatable, replenishable fuel, because of the fact that I need to be able to run some steam dynamos. Yes, I'm going to be using steam dynamos to do the work. We're going to do steam dynamos in the special fashion where we're going to be using the boiler augments and the turbine conversions, because of the fact that I can run just 7 of these steam dynamos. With this process here, I can then power 14, or 2 per, I should say 2 of the normal ones per, at double, actually no, it's even more than that. It's like 240 versus 40 RF a tick. So the only thing we're going to have to do is I think I didn't make enough of these hardened upgrades, and that's okay. We'll get to that point when we get there. We'll see how far we can get in this episode. So the next thing I'm going to do is I'm going to start deciding where I want certain things. Now, we do know that in this, not this one here, this one right here is going to require access to the water. So we built water in over here. Water is going to be entering in on the bottom, or I should say, out of this system here, we're going to have two of these, and there's going to be one going north and one going down. This doesn't need to be going north, this needs to be going up. So we should be up and down. Get out of here. That means down into this room, up into that cube. So now we're going up into this cube. We're going to have to place a very simple little thing. So let's grab our little chest and get him in the center of the room so he's out of the way. This process, or this cube right here, is going to be placed in a corner where it can receive power, or something along the lines over in this corner. So I'm going to do something about like that, I think, is how we're going to do these. We're going to also get a couple of garden cloches because we're going to need a few things like, well, you know, the materials that we're going to be using to burn, or should say fuel, our system. So I'm going to put 4 of these guys over here. I'm going to put one of those right there for now, and I've got a couple extras just in case we have a problem. I want my fluid ducts, thank you. We're going to do a tunnel right somewhere on the floor, somewhere in this area. I think we'll just probably do the tunnel right there. Now, we notice this one is facing the tiny compact machine down, meaning we have the power down or we have the water down. That means now I can do something like this. That should fill up these guys right here with water, and if I do this, I should be getting water in here, correct? Where's the thing? Where is it at? What did I do with my tunnel? Did you let me in the wrong place? No, you didn't. Where's my tunnel? There's my tunnel. Okay, we're facing down. That means we should slowly start to see water come into these garden cloches. These garden cloches do not take a lot of water. For whatever reason, this one thinks it can work at this point. Where are we getting power from? You guys can't be running. Whatever. We're good. But those will slowly fill up full of water. And we're going to need to make sure we at least set our entry point somewhere out of the way. Think I can do that square for right now. I've built this a couple of times, so it shouldn't be that terrible. All right, I am going to need some fun stuff. So in this corner, there's going to live a barrel and an auto clicker, which I need to get facing that barrel. So let's do this, and this is the fun part. It's supposed to be, or should be, one click. So if I grab this barrel and I leave, and look, it's facing down. All right, cool, good deal. We can put the barrel down. He can sit right here. We're going to grab our item ducts, which I should have plenty of item ducts, and some of these filters. And these filters are going to help us do a few things. Mainly just maintain small counts of things. So I only want to keep 16 of whatever I'm going to keep in that little system there, and we're going to use a fluid transposer here to extract from the sides. And these guys are brand new. He's going to have something that comes out of here. He's going to have an input from this side as well as an input from the bottom. Input from the bottom, which we're going to use a servo and a piece of fluid duct. Fluid duct, servo, go. So what we're going to do is we're going to be creating a loop that's going to have something happen right here. In these gentlemen, or I should say, let's just do this. We're going to do this side and then we'll work this backwards since it's pretty simple, easy to do this way. I have a sawmill that we're going to need, and I'm actually going to need 2 sawmills. So let's see if I can get some of this out of the way. 2 sawmills and a sequential fabricator, and I think the only thing I'm missing at this point is a nullifier, which is fine. That's all right. We don't need them right now. There's 2 different ones. We have a reinforced and we have a hardened. And the hardened one is going to go right here in front of this little garden cloche. That garden cloche is going to get a piece of dirt and a piece of bonsai oak sapling. Now, that means that this is going to be able to input to the back of here. We're going to exhaust out this side, or I should say, actually, no, we're going to exhaust out the bottom at this point. We're going to do that for both. That works fine for me. And I may have to upgrade this, I may not. We're going to, basically, this is going to drop out this direction. This one over here, we're going to have to get back into this one and say, I need this one, and this is one I stole from a little while ago. We're going to input from the bottom on this one. If I cannot input from the bottom. Come on, brain. You're going to exhaust both out the bottom. You're going to input from this side because I want to control what I'm placing in this sequential fabricator. This sequential fabricator is going to have a single intake or input on the bottom with an exhaust or an output on the side, and this is going to work correctly this direction. So, all right, let's go get some power down here, so that we know we're doing things and stuff. And this is going to come across the top over there. I probably could do this a little cheaper, but again, these are not that expensive. So our power input is going to come from in the ceiling over that direction, which is actually going to be coming from the next cube. All of this is going to be powered inside the actual construction system of how this is going to work. So here we're going to do a little bit of this item ducts again. Okay, item duct, and I'm going to bring an item duct over to here. And I need to go craft the thing that I forgot to craft, because if I don't craft it, we're going to be in trouble. So let's get out and let's get out. We need something to be able to, actually right now I do need to get rid of it, because we have to be able to get rid of some of the other parts. So I need a nullifier, and I need to, I don't know why these things pick the, get out of here. Quit. Nullifier. We need something to be able to, that's right. This is why I'm hanging on to that. Come on. Let's do all the fun stuff. I forgot to build this. And I may have to do a little bit of clay cookery. So I will come back with you guys once I get this sorted, and we'll continue. I'm going to have to make some clay. Beautiful. Okay, yeah, it's going to take a second. All right, there is our nullifier, and that used up our nice little bucket of wonderful stuff and things. So let's go back in here. I didn't want to make sure I forgot that thing, because it's definitely going to play a major part in how we do things. So we're going to have a couple of inputs. Again, we're going to be bringing in some wood from this side, and we're going to be trashing one of the outputs that we're going to be getting, because we don't want certain things. And those certain things are going to be rather silly. Oops, that's the wrong thing. Those certain things are going to be rather silly, because we're going to be throwing away the wood and keeping the sawdust. And of course, on this side, if I can get these hooked up, where are my things? There we go, here to here to here. This process is going to have another sequential fabricator over here, which we're going to do something very simple, which is I'm only going to keep a stack of any one given thing out of that. And I'm just going to allow this to auto output. That's perfectly fine. I don't need any more than that. And here again, we're going to be keeping 64 of a single input just because we can, but we're also going to type it, because there's going to be two things that are going to come into that little process, and we're going to be seeing it. Now, the beauty of these fun things is we're going to put a sequential fabricator right here with the power again. It's going to get an input that is going to come out of this side, and it's going to have an input that comes out of that side, and it's going to have an output right there where we're going to go ahead and again place another tunnel. Now, this tunnel is going to have to be placed in a specific side in this cube. So we need to have it facing the west side. So back in there, this tunnel is going to face the west side. All right, now I can put this on here, and again, we're going to be filtering a few things in this process. Again, I want to filter just this, but we're also going to whitelist both of these two things. So pretty much everything in here is ready to go, I believe, so I need to put my dirt in these little fellers right here, and I actually believe I am short one. I don't think in this process you need all 4 of them, but 4 of them is handy enough to make sure that we're at least okay. There'll be a little bit of excess of the actual thing coming in this area. So this is going to be dropping out the bottom here, and we're going to go ahead and just get rid of that because it doesn't need to be there. I'm going to go ahead and place our nullifier right here again with the actual filters for the things that we're going to be throwing away, because we don't need to be filling things and throwing things away. We'll set it to a whitelist and a whitelist, and make sure that it does not have that or that set. So that way we're not accidentally outputting something from the side of one of these cloches into the system. So let's go ahead and put the seeds in that we need. You already got all those in? Okay. I need the wheat seeds. So we can do that and that. So everything should be primed in here. The first thing I want to go do now is I want to go steal that cell that we have hanging out. Actually, we need to go ahead and put a item duct right there along with this so that you don't do that. Okay. We're going to go ahead and prime the whole system and get it running before we start looking at this block or this building in here, this wonderful thing. Where is it? And I changed the way everything looks. All right, we need this one, and I want to grab this cell. Now, there shouldn't be anything necessary in this world around here as far as this is concerned. We should be good to go for the moment. The only thing I would like to do, if I can still do it, did I use all of those pieces up? I did. Okay, well, we'll just deal with the fact that this is a hardened energy cell at this point. Actually, I can do that in between episodes, or I can do it at another cut here in just shortly. But I want to get the system primed. And what I mean by primed is I want to use up a bunch of this leftover junk that I have laying around to make some of the fuel. And I went out the wrong damn thing again. It's not an episode if I don't do that at least once. All right, this is the one we're looking for. This is the one we're looking for, and this is something that we're going to be doing. So, pulped bioblend. As we know, you can take a couple, let me see, where is this? Pulp bioblend should be something like this and this, or is it the other way? I think it's this way, right? Use. How do I get this? Sawdust, pulp biomass. Oh, yes, this is right. This is the stuff that goes into the next thing. That is not correct. That's fine. So the sawdust, we're just going to go ahead and toss the sawdust in here. We're going to go ahead and set this recipe up, and this is the recipe. Poop and wheat. So we're going to toss all those in because we have the leftovers. Yes, I'm going to be using poop fuel. The reason why I'm going to be using poop fuel is each one of these things smelts 32 items or burns for about 30 seconds. So it's pretty stinking good. In this system, we're going to be creating the pulped bioblend, and then the bioblend here, we're going to be using the pulped bioblend and turning the pulp bioblend into poop using the process that you can use right here. So I'm actually, like I said, going to prime the process at this point, because if you take it's kind of funny actually. If you do something like this, you're given this little process where you can do this into this, right? We can take pulp bioblend and take a poop and put it in here with a little bit of sewage. And I believe actually this is better off than doing it this functionality, because you take one pulp bioblend and you get this versus the 3 here. It's actually, I think it's a little bit more expensive along this lines where we can do something out in the world. But creating the sewage is actually creatable using poop in a sewage bucket in a stone barrel to do this little process. Or I don't think there's anything along those lines, but this is a reason why this is here, to prime the system. So that guy's going to get about that many of those, and we're going to set that to, I believe it's right click. Yes. Yes. Good deal. All right. And you did what I thought you were going to do, which is perfectly fine. I need to grab a bucket of this, and you're going to be whitelisting that. And we can go ahead and just do whatever we want to do with this part. And I now have to do the break and replace on you. Thank you. And shut you off for the second. Thank you. Why are you filling up full of water? Oh, this is full of water, isn't it? Okay, that's fine. I love thermal. I really do. Are you empty? Okay, cool. Can I get rid of this bucket, please? Yes? Nice. All right, you're sitting here, and it should be a right click, and go. And that will slowly work through the poop that has been given to it. It will make enough to keep up, and when we add these in here and add a little bit of power, we should be good to go. So again, I want to prime the system. Let's see, we're going to do out on the bottom, out on the top, and in on the back. Now that's going to start doing the work. We're going to prime everything up. They've got power. And we have cactus growing. Some. Come on. What are you doing? You don't have power yet. Oh, because I missed a couple of these. Hardened flux duct goes right there. And right there. And right there. Okay, and now those should all be working. All right, so we should be producing, or at least slowly producing. Oh, I missed some sand. Well, have your sand. You're okay. Now, this is the problem. Like I said, you can't really check what's going on unless you break one of these. So we're going to break this one and make sure that this side is functional, that I didn't miss anything. Okay, you were facing, I guess it doesn't really matter what side it was facing. We'll go ahead and put it right here with that. That can go back to work, and once it gets caught up, we're good and ready to go. So that means we should, at this point, be creating cactus. And it sounds like we're actually making some things. So pulp biomass, I will take you. One of these, one of those, makes this. Check that recipe. These both go in here. And I'm doing that for a reason. I don't want to accidentally fill up this inventory full of stuff that we can't do anything with. And of course, it's absolutely loud in here. So let's see. Blocks, I believe, is going to be the thing. No? What is it going to be? I thought it was blocks. Maybe it's this. How about we'll just, for the moment, because I don't need to hear it anyway, we'll just turn that down a ways. Thank you. That's a little better. All right, so we're currently, at this point, producing the sawdust, the pulp biomass, and the pulp bio blend, which is being pushed into this creature here to craft up the stuff. And we already have 64 fuel. All right, on this side over here, we need to set up a few things because we don't need... Where's my ducks? We don't need to be doing things like, we don't need the wood at this point. So I'm going to be trashing the wood. So this system, or this filter is specifically for the seeds, so we can get rid of them so they don't back up the system. And you are going to be specifically for the wood. Technically, I could put that out this side, but that's fine. It doesn't really matter at this point. So we're going to go ahead and set that to wood. And yes, I am going to throw away the wood for the time being. There's a spot right here that if I wanted to save some of the wood and put it into a bin and a thing, that's probably what we're going to be doing with that cache that we have hanging out in the workshop area. Sure, that's going to be something we can do. All right. So this guy right here, he's going to need a couple of augmentations. Most of everything in this room is going to require a couple of augmentations. So let's go ahead and make a couple of augments, or at least a augment or two for those. So we need a speed upgrade. Speed augment times a couple. 1, 2, 3, 4. We'll just make 4 of those for the moment. Thank you. And I will also make another hardened upgrade because I think I'm going to want one for all of those sequential fellers. So 1, 2, 3. And I can always use these later, so it doesn't really matter. And I think I just threw my tunnels on the floor. Thank you. Most of this just requires the first upgrade, and I did it again. There's the second time. Hooray. Most of these are only going to require just a little bit of upgrade, a little bit of speed augmentation just to get things moving. Namely this, and this. That's just to upgrade them to make them work just a little faster. This one particularly really doesn't need it. This one really doesn't either, but we're okay on this. This one requires a small amount of upgrade, and this one for sure is going to need at least both of those. Now that's going to make it use a little bit of power, but this is only just to get it caught up. Once this catches up, we'll be removing one of these out of here. You're good? Because that's using a little bit more power than I want it to use. So now we're good at that point. It should be just continuously running that little system now. So every time we get 4 of those cactus, this is going to run and it's going to produce a little bit of biomass. So the reason why I chose cactus is because it only takes 4 cactus and there is no extra byproduct from this cube. It only takes 4 to make one of these. So everything else, except for I believe sugarcane or pumpkins or something that doesn't grow very quickly, it only takes 4. And every time we do this little system here, I get 2 cactus from each machine. So that's a pretty reasonable, decent speed as far as making this. Now, poop. We've got plenty of poop. We're already caught up on poop. I know it's kind of funny to say, but we're already caught up on poop. And this is constantly making stuff. Now, I don't believe it's going to require any necessary power. If it needs power, I will have to craft a couple of special things. And you could easily probably do a couple a little bit more shortening in this section, but this cannot auto pull from that barrel. So you have to forcibly pull the sewage out of that barrel. But we're making poop and we're making plenty of pulp bio blend. All of this system will eventually back up and stop running. This is only going to run for a very short period of time because we have to get rid of all of this out of here first. It doesn't take very long. So this whole system is going to back up. This whole system is going to back up. Everything is functional right now. All right, next part. This is going to be in kind of a long episode, so that's perfectly fine. On this side over here, we're going to place our chest, and I'm going to set my input position entry point right there. Now for the fun stuff. All of these guys, and I need to make a bunch more of those. Again, we're going to be doing a little bit more work here, some signalum stuffs, and I don't need any more of those because I figured out I didn't need to do it because of this. So let's drop down some fluid ducts. I know they're all opaque. It's kind of no fun because you can't see the water, but that's all right. We don't necessarily need to be able to see the water. We're going to do that, that, and that. One of those, one of those, one of those, and one of those. And then we're going to roll them up to face upwards because they won't place anyway unless I do something specifically special to make them place. And I'm leaving these in my way because I want to make sure I have this set up correctly. It's again, build myself into a corner and then leave. So there we go with that. And all of these guys are going to require at least one of these. And again, we're kind of short on those. So I'm going to go make the rest of those really quickly, and we'll start laying out the rest of the pipe work. Okay, so we should be good to go to get the rest of these guys up and done. There we go. On to the next fun part. Where is that hardened fluid duct that we have? I know a lot of this is not going to be very fun to see because there's nothing to see because it's going to be all opaque until I decide to change my mind on whether or not we're going to do something to other stuff. So alrighty, now we've got a way to be able to get whatever's coming out of these guys or these steam dynamos up into the next layer of things. So I want to make sure I have plenty of hardened fluid duct now, or hardened flux ducts. Hardened flux ducts are what we're going to need because we're not going to be able to, this is the max amount of what I'm going to need to get out of it. This should be making somewhere around 3,000 RF a tick, so we should be close to good enough to go. The hardened cell is going to go on the top of the system right there, and that is also going to be where our output is going to live. So let's plug a tunnel into that right now, and I don't think I want down, but we may just leave it like that for the moment because of why not kind of thing. All right, so the rest of these dynamos, if I can get them to place correctly, are going to be placed pointing up around the outside edge, like so, since I can just barely get to it. Actually, no, I need to leave the one out of the back. The one out of the back doesn't happen right now. So there, and there. Now, all I really need to do now is get these guys fueled up and powered up and put a little bit of water into them. So let's put the water down, which is going to go like that. And if I wait very carefully, these guys should all fill up nicely. It's amazing to me how these aqueous accumulators, I've tested this and played with this for several hours. Those 5 aqueous accumulators can keep all of these full, as well as all of the cloches in here and the cloches in that little guy full of water with excess. So I don't know why, it doesn't make any sense to me, but it definitely does work. All right, so the magic of this process is normally you could just, slam as many of these little steam dynamos in here as you possibly could. At their current rate, they make 60 RF a tick. When we add the augment boiler conversion to them, they turn into boilers. They turn into steam boilers. So basically, this is going to now produce X amount of millibuckets of steam, or 240 per tick. When I take these gentlemen here, again, 60, and I do this. Oh yeah, we need to do the harden upgrade kits. Just the harden upgrade kits, for one, it will turn them into a 60. When we add the magic of the augment, this boiler conversion or turbine conversion, it says greatly increases power generation, but it can only run on steam. No fuel, so that means you have to be able to produce steam. Normally I wouldn't bother with these. Normally I would not even fool with these little things. But they don't do too bad as far as making power is concerned. We're going to see them here very shortly. They're going to make 240 RF a tick per. There's 14 of them in here. That's a really reasonable amount of power. And since we already should have a reasonable amount of storage of a certain type of fuel going on, which is what this chest is for, if I place that chest right there and I grab another one of these little servos, I'm going to do a silly little thing. I'm only going to keep in stock about that much. And if I had some smaller chests, I would definitely do this. And actually, I think we could probably, even for that matter, utilize the filter function. You know what? Let's do this instead. Do we have any filters left, or did I use them all? I think I've got one left. All right. We're going to do this. We're going to do a item duct off of that interface right there. I'm going to use a servo up there as well, and I'm going to use a filter just so that I can see this work. And I want to keep as many as we can in this thing for the moment. And that's going to be 64 poop fuel just to kind of chill out in here for right now. And I think later on what I'll do is I'll be removing that filter and just keep a top line of it. But I don't want to overutilize this stuff. So we're also going to sit in here while we have this going on, and we're going to place a few of these down. So we have our item ducts that we're going to use, and we're going to do filters on each one of these because I do not want to fill these things. I have no interest in keeping more than 2 of any one thing in any one of these at any given time. There's no point in it because they burn quick enough, or I should say burn slow enough, that I don't need to keep stacks upon stacks of fuel in these. So I'm going to go ahead also and disconnect that so we don't have a silly little loop. And again, 1 and a 2 and a 3 with a 2 again, and a 2 again, and a 2 again, and item duct, and item duct, item duct, and item duct. So we should have everything we need now. We've got water, we've got poop, and we've got production. The only thing I don't have anymore is the cell. So we're going to go ahead, and since I did make them and I didn't need them, we're going to put signal and servos on both of these sides, set to a round robin, and we're going to turn them on when we're ready to go. But I'm going to just make sure that there's no, I don't want to do that. Well, whatever. That's fine. They can turn on. They can turn on. And we should start seeing things fire up. Steam's going to come up. These should each end up with at least 2 pieces of poop fuel in them, which is wonderful. And I need to go get a cell. Where did it go? It's in this one. I had to go do a little bit of this because we ran out of power. That's fine. And I will be introducing this thing into the system as well since we have it. So I'm going to grab that. And then we're going to get rid of that thing. We don't even need it anymore. Let's go over to the main new power generation room where we do this. There's going to be an output on the bottom, an output on the bottom, and an input on the back. And that should start charging up shortly. Did it connect? The only problem with this is it's hard to get back in here to look. It should have connected. Output on the top. There we go. Okay, cool. And then I'm just going to take this little fancy tiny compact machine that I made, and it can live somewhere in one of these little rooms just because I made it. I guess we could put it in... Let's just use it to augment some power in here, so we can just put it in, like, I guess right there. There you go. That'll work. Nice. And we're bleeding poop all over the place, which is not good. That's the problem of the filter right here. It's going to have a problem where it's not going to want to work correctly. And you, sir, need to be told you need wheat. So let's put some wheat in that white list, and away you go. And that's going to dump all the stuff out of here, most of which is probably going to be trash anyway. Quit. Okay, cool. Let's take this down here, and we'll put this in the box. And that's going to throw poop everywhere. That's fine. This will all eventually settle down and go to work. 2, 2, and of course in the corner 2, 1, 1, and 2. So that'll sort itself out once it gets there. Now the only problem with this whole idea, is that these dynamos are going to be forever burning fuel. They will forever be running. So this system is always going to be forever running. But because of the way most of this works, it shouldn't really matter at this point. All of this stuff is going to just sit here and constantly run and not really care. So I need to get a little bit better hardened cell going on, or at least a little bit better energy storage going on. And we need to decide what side of the world this thing is going to output to. So I believe we said it was going to be the bottom anyway. Let's get out of here. And that is going to live up there, like that. So that bottom should have energy cell basic. Excellent. All of these should be doing their work and their things and their stuff. So what did we have left? How good did I do? Yeah, the 2 extra aqueous accumulators that we had. So, all right, to recap, I know this is going to be a pretty long episode, so we're going to go all the way back down into the main system, which is going to start down in here into this process where we're taking as many garden cloches as we can cram into one of these 5x5s, filling them with cactus. The cactus is then coming out of that building and going into, I'm pooping poop everywhere. That's not great. That's fine. It'll be all right. It'll settle down once things go. I'm going to be changing the filtering. But anyhow, we're taking that cactus, grinding it into pulped biomass. Pulped biomass is being fed into the sequential fabricator, which is crafting pulped bioblend. Pulped bioblend is being taken, or it should be pulped bioblend. Let's start that over. This is going over here to being crafted into pulp biomass. Pulp biomass is being crafted to pulp bioblend with some sawdust from a sawmill that is being fed by a garden cloche with oak bronzes. So we're just taking the byproduct off of that and feeding it into here to make this little system, which is the pulped bioblend. Pulp bioblend is being mixed with raw sewage that is being created by an auto clicker that is taking poop that is constantly recycling this little system right here. And that poop is being fed into a sequential fabricator that is being fed also from several garden cloches that is feeding it wheat to make poop fuel. Poop fuel is being exhausted, or I should say output, out the side of this cube into the main power generation cube, which I need to set my entrance into on that point, which is being fed into steam dynamos that have the boiler conversion augmentation inserted so that they constantly make steam, which is feeding a double the amount, or I should say every one of these can feed 2 of the others. So we're currently feeding 14 of those dynamos in here. And if the way that I did the math worked earlier, at least the last time I played with this, I'm going to go ahead and do this because it's definitely causing a problem. You cannot exist. I tested this and played around with this and was able to make just over what was required to run all, well, let me see, 7 of these. So I almost think, and I'm not 100% certain, I can run 8 of these dynamos down here. So that means I can put 1 more dynamo in the corner and do 2 more of these gentlemen up here and be right around 4,000 RF a tick. As it sits, they're making 240 times 14 is 3,360 RF a tick in this little room. So that should be more than enough power for us for a while. Yes, granted, we're probably losing about 200 of that to all of the process. But once this backs up and stops running into the main system in any of these 2 cubes, they're only going to run as they need it. And like I say, at this point, These take about 30 seconds to burn. So we're ahead of schedule quite a ways on it. So, all right, guys, I think I'm going to back out of here. We're going to look at this one like so and get it to stop and do a dece. And I will say thank you guys so much for watching. I know it's kind of long, but we're definitely going to do a little bit of editing to make it a little bit better. So, see you guys. Thank you for watching. Bye.